Today we have a how-to video of the RainPoint 2-zone timer, and we're going to get it set up, and I'm going to tell you what we think of it so far. It is new to us, so keep that in mind, but this is how to set it up because you can never have too many garden timers. We use garden timers all over the farm in all the various areas that we're trying to grow stuff and establish stuff, and I'm sure next year having this timer will come in handy because we'll decide we want to put in another orchard somewhere, or we want to put in a new flower bed somewhere, or another vegetable field somewhere. So having more timers is always a bonus. So let's get right into it. And full disclosure, they did send us this timer to show you all on YouTube. So inside of the box, you get the timer, and then you get some extra washers and also an extra screen in there for this part right here. So that is nice that they included a couple extra of those because this seal is always really nice to have to make sure that your stuff is not leaking. There are also two sets of directions on this in there. There was a quick user guide and then like a more extensive direction, which was kind of nice that there were multiple forms of directions. The batteries go right in the back here. AA batteries. Batteries are not included. That is something to keep in mind. I believe this timer is supposed to be waterproof outside. They do say in the directions, though, that you want it to be as vertical as it can be to the faucet. So it's not tilted like this so water doesn't just pour into it is what I'm guessing. But that is a necessary thing to have it be waterproof. In a lot of how we use a timer like this outside, it's going to get rained on and all of that. There were some other timers that I was looking into on Amazon that aren't waterproof and you need to have them covered. So that's just kind of a bonus. Another thing I really like about this is that it has an indicator right there of how charged your battery is. So for us, when we go out of town is when we really count on these timers to work. And without that indicator light on other timers, we are constantly just putting new batteries in there so that we're sure it's working while we're away. But it's nice that it has this here. Okay, so to get started, after you put those batteries in, they want you to activate the timer. How to activate the timer when you first get it, or if it's been dormant, sitting for a long period of time, they want to make sure you activate it. So you set it to on, and then you hold this down. And then we have both zones selected. You can change the zones right here. So zone 1, zone both 1 and 2, and zone 2. So we want both of them. And then we're just going to press this button again real quick. Did you hear those sounds? So they want you to do that, I think, in the directions it says 3 to 5 times. So let's do it again. They turned off. I'm holding it down. It's flashing, so I'm going to press it again. They both activated. So that is an important step. I already did it a bunch of times, so I'm not going to go through all of that with you. Now, to set this timer, first you want to set the clock. And this was pretty simple. We wanted it on 12 hours. I hit OK. This is the time it is right now. I already went through and did it. If you continue going all the way around, it'll change to PM if you need it to be on PM. That was something that took me a minute to figure out. You can set it on 24-hour or 12-hour. We're leaving ours on 12-hour. And then once you're all set with that, you turn this clockwise to go to the next thing. So start time. We have 2 zones on this timer. We're going to think about zone 1 right now. So zone 1, say we want it to start at 4. So I'm going to click this to go to the minutes. Take it down to 4. Let's say we want it at 4 a.m. I'm going to hit this again, go back to the hour, and we're going to go all the way around until it switches to AM. So it's on AM now. Okay, once we're happy with that, we would go on. If you want to set zone 2, you can go to zone 2 like that. Change the time. We're going to stick with zone 1 for this video. And then turn this clockwise. How long do we want it to water for? We want it to water, I'm just testing it out. Let's say 10 minutes. So put this up to 10. Okay, once we're happy with that, and again, you can go to zone 2 if you want to set that one, which is also coincidentally on 10 minutes, hours and minutes. Once we're happy with that, we rotate this clockwise. Okay, now this part was a little bit tricky for me to figure out, but it's really easy now that I understand it. So you can set it to go off every day at the same time, or you can set it to go off in increments of hours. So I tested it to go off every 1 hour, and it will go off every 1 hour once your first hour has occurred. So since we set it at 4 a.m., I would have to wait till 4 a.m. for it to start going off, and then it would go off at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and every hour after that. And when I was testing this, I tried to like back set it to have it go off at 4 a.m. So I'd set it at 3 a.m. and then it wouldn't go off at 4 a.m. And that was my error. It has to activate and go off that very first time. So say you don't want it to go off every hour. That's kind of a little bit excessive for a lot of applications. So you're going to go up right here. So this is every hour. We're going to go to every day, once a day, every other day pretty much, and it'll go up from there. So that's how you can make this timer go off multiple times a day, is you set it to every hour. So this would be like twice a day. But the downside to this is, say you have it set for 4 a.m., it's going to go off at 4 p.m. So you just have to make sure that makes sense for what you're growing. Okay, so we're going to go, we want it to maybe, let's say, go off once a day. All right, so we're happy with that. How to get it to start is you turn it on. Now, this is cool right here because it will rotate on when your zones are set. So right now it's 8:25 a.m. It is set to go off, well, that's zone 2, and zone 1, it'll show us in a minute, right there, is set to go off at 4 a.m., and we know that we set it off to go off once a day. So that is it, and we're just going to go ahead and get this installed. It does come with some tape to wrap these threads so that you prevent any leaks, which is kind of nice. And installation is really simple. All you do is you have your faucet right here, or your spigot, or whatever you're using, and your 2 garden hoses right here. It's nice too, you can stick a fertilizer tube on right here if you need to also. And let's get this put on. So right here, how we are using this timer, or the timer that this one's going to replace, because the other timer drove us nuts. It was really hard to program. How we're going to use this timer is it's going to water all of these flowers on this side of the bed, this side of the bed, and this summer it did water the raised beds that are along this edge as well. So that was one zone. The second zone goes across the driveway over to a little orchard we're trying to establish, and it waters those. Now, it's going to be really nice to be able to have 2 independent zones with different watering times, because this only needs water once a day for not very long, just to kind of keep these plants going because they are mulched, and that's all they really need. Over there on the orchard, they had different watering times throughout the season that they required, and our chickens are also receiving water off of that as well. So that was really nice to just have that option to send water over there and not have to go water the chickens every day in the summer months, while we can take advantage of things not freezing outside. So we're going to put it on in here. Should probably turn the water off before I do. Ugh, about spewed water everywhere. Here's the old one coming out that was kind of junk that I'm glad to not have to use anymore. It will become the backup. And here's our new one going in. I could tape these threads. I'm not going to right now. Let's put this on. Really simple. These are plastic threads that this is going on, which is a bit of a downfall. But a lot of these are made with plastic threads, so hopefully they will just hold up. Okay, just getting that one tight. This one's kind of goofy because it does have a fertilizer right there, because that one goes to the orchard, I believe. I didn't point this out earlier. It says zone 1 is this one and zone 2 is this one. That's kind of nice that it's right there on it. So I'm just going to program them real quick just so we can hear it click on. I'm going to program it for zone 1, which is these flowers right here. So let's get a program real quick. 8:31, so we're going to set it for 8:33. Start time. 8, okay. You have to click it every time. Yeah, you can't just hold it down. 8:33, okay. AM, yep. Turn it clockwise. How long? I just really want it to go for just a minute. to make sure it clicks on and off. How often? Every day, one time. Okay, she's ready to go. When that says 8:33, we should hear it click on. All right, did you hear that? Just clicked on. And it also shows on there, on the right, the little water droplets show you that it is going. And I like that it does a countdown for how much longer is left. That is pretty nice to see right on there. Oh, except I forgot to turn the water back on. We're going to need that. Yep, it's working. Let me show you. Okay, so all this zone is working. We have water coming out and in those raised beds over there as well that have everything pulled out of them. So, yay, it's working. And we should hear it shut off in 15 more seconds. So let's make sure it shuts off. Yep, shut off very nicely. And yeah, awesome timer. I did also read in the directions that if you only want to activate one zone, you would just set the timer for 0 hours and 0 minutes to go off, and then it just won't go off. So that is kind of nice to know. And of course, you can turn the whole thing completely to the off dial when you have a really wet period and you don't want it to water at all. One last little thing I want to tell you about is we go to on and say we just want to water real quick right now. We just see things are dry and we want to water it. You go to manual. So you hold that down and then you can manually turn it on for however many minutes. Let's say 5 minutes on both zones are, oops, you have to do it kind of quickly. Let's say 5 minutes on both zones are dry. You turned it on. I just heard them both click open and I see everything is on again. We are watering again. See the water over there? So that is a way to do it manually and really easy. And of course you could just select one of the zones, but I just turned it all on. And I think that's about it for this timer. So far it seems really great and easy to program, easy to use, user friendly. And I like that it came with those extra few little pieces that you'll probably need. I just turned this off, and to turn it off from that manual watering, you just switch it to the off position, but then you have to switch it back on to activate the zones that were already programmed on it. So that's also something to just kind of keep in mind. But I hope this helps somebody with this timer and just kind of understanding how it works. It is always so nice to have garden timers, and it's nice when you can just easily program them and it's not a big deal and it's easy to use, user-friendly. So that is it for this video. Thanks for checking it out. If you're interested in review videos and product videos like this, please let us know in the comments and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.